It's Corso and Catone. Brought to you by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Now for the real deal New England feel, Corso and Catone.
Welcome into Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. I'm Corso. Catone is here. Joe is with us in the booth, and you're watching us on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, anywhere you podcast, you can hear us. And, of course, 790 The Score in Providence, Rhode Island. You can hear us on there at thescore790.com if you want to stream that or listen to us over the radio. And, hey, give us a call in Heated Hotline, 855-313-PATS. 24/7, leave us a message. Anything's on the table. Joe's going to pick the one he wants, so let's let it be yours. Have a take, 855-313-7287, or email us in our mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com. Hey, we got a good one today in Weekly Rewind. We've got a lot to cover the week that was. We got the Patriots-Buffalo game, Celtics, Bruins, some Major League Baseball to throw in there, and, of course, like you heard last week, you never know what's going to be on his mind. So stick around for Catone's comments later on in the show. And we'll hear from one of you in the nation in Heated Hotline. And we'll bring in the Pats Nation for a preview of the Miami Patriots game. And, of course, we're going to win you some money in Sunday spread. Mark did okay last week. I had one. I
hit both, just for the record.
So hey, Mr. Raspy Voice here is joining us today.
Yeah,
gentlemen.
well, I wasn't going to say anything about the voice, Joe, but since he wanted to bring it up, what is wrong with you?
I thought he was trying something new. I'm like, okay, let's go.
Hey.
New voice.
Hey, listen, I'm playing hurt. I'm playing injured today.
All right. Hey, why not?
Hey,
Thank God.
Thank
God I don't have the Patriots training staff to or I'd be out for about 3 or 4 weeks, right?
Well, good thing you're not limited participation today. At least you're a full participant. You know what I mean?
So listen, we got a lot to get to in the week that was, and we're going to do it in Weekly Rewind. We're going to do it now, Joe. Going back through the week, about a Weekly Rewind. So 29-25, the Patriots get the win over the Buffalo Bills. Wow. And, that's right. I didn't, nobody saw that coming. You know what? You want to know something?
Hey,
Joe.
I was going to ask you.
Joe had it.
Joe, you had that when we did our preseason picks. Joe had the win, the Buffalo win.
I also think I had to win in the Super Bowl, but
now don't ruin it, Joe. Don't ruin it.
Joe, Chris, just for the record.
Take your props.
Just for the record, Chris. I went to the game last Sunday. We didn't tell the viewers that, but I did end up going to the game last Sunday. And before the game started, when I saw the gray pants, please tell everybody what I texted you.
He did. He texted me and he said, "We got the gray pants on. We're going to win this game. That's it. We're going to win this game. I got a feeling. I see the gray. I get the silver pants. We're going to win this game."
Silver. And I won't tell you what Chris's response was to that, though.
That's because you can't say that on the air,
No.
It's 790 now. We're on the radio.
Yeah.
Class outfit. We can't, But no, hey, 29-25. Now, listen, do we temper it, Mark? Is it more of what Buffalo didn't do right, or is it more what the Patriots did right in our cynical way of looking at things? Start with the offense, Mark. What did you see?
Okay, so offensively, Chris, number one, you got to give kudos to the offensive line. And it's really the first time, I guess, that this group has been together the whole season, because I don't even think in the first game these guys were all there. Maybe they were. I mean, you had Trent Brown, you had Cole Strange, you had Andrews, you had Sal, and you had Owenu. But Owenu was right tackle, Chris, and he played well. The offensive line protected. They opened up some lanes for the running game, and they did things that we thought maybe we hoped that they could possibly do. They still have no depth, but the offensive line, Chris, played well, and that was a key to the victory. That's the first thing. Second thing they did.
By the way, wait a minute. Who had in the preseason? Well, Winu needed to be playing right guard. A right
Right
tackle.
tackle. You did.
That's
You
all.
did.
I got to
I'll
give
give it to
myself
you.
some props. You're never going to do it. So,
Listen. I'll give it to you. You did. I'm not going to give you props, but you said it. Hey,
Oh.
listen. Even a blind squirrel can find a nut every once in a while. You know what I mean?
see the way he is. Go ahead.
Listen. So, Chris, they finally, you and I have been screaming this for weeks. Number one, scheme and motion. Motion. Get guys in motion. Move guys around. Jet sweeps, end arounds, different things. And who did we say had to do that? Douglas. Pop Douglas. They finally involved him. Not as much as I would like either. I said to you, Chris, I've been saying for weeks, this kid's got to touch the ball 10 to 12 times a game, right?
Right.
He finally touched the ball, not that many times. But, Chris, what they did with him worked. Finally, you got him in a little bit of space. You did some creative things with him, and they did stuff creatively to create offense. And they allowed Mac Jones, Chris, to make the quick decisions. They still didn't get any separation down the field, but everything he threw, Chris, was underneath. Quick slants, quick. After Douglas did what he did, they ran him across the field to create space. So in the middle of the field, that last drive when he hits Hunter Henry, that was because Douglas clears out the underneath so he can go into the seam and he hits him. But that was only created by what they had did all game long with the movement and the motion and the schemes. And finally, on that first quarter, Chris, O'Brien came out and did things that we've been kind of looking for them to do all year. He finally did it.
Yeah.
Right? Finally.
He did, Mark. I mean, it's exactly what we talked about last week to the letter. I mean, we talked about put him in the backfield, orbit motion him. There were times where the tight end was lined up outside along with the running back, and you had Douglas in the backfield. It just puts, we said it, put pressure, the key to victory, put pressure on the defense, put pressure on the safeties and people to chase routes. And that's what they did with Douglas. Now, look, Mark, Demario Douglas had 6 targets. Bourne had 7 targets. Parker had 1. That's a key to victory, too.
That's a key to victory.
Get that guy off the table, Parker.
Yeah, that's a key to victory. And granted, he got a catch in that last drive. And Mac Jones, Chris, let's just say this. Mac Jones was quick. He was decisive. And he didn't force anything, Chris. If he thought there was nothing there, he tried to run out and get a few yards with his feet, maybe 4 or 5 yards, 6 yards, or he actually took the sack, Chris. For the first time, he actually looked, moved a little bit, and he went down because he took a negative play, but he didn't try to force something, Chris, and create that turnover early. And guess what they did, Chris? And you've been saying this all year. Jesus, can they score first? They got the kick. They took the kick off.
Well, that's what you were yelling about last week. You said, forget all this difference. Exactly what you said. Forget about just the first stuff and all that. Take the ball and go take the lead. That's what they did.
And that's what they did. So they finally did that, right? But Jones, Chris, that's the best he's obviously looked all year. And in the fourth quarter, Chris, he did something that everybody's been saying, well, he can't bring a team from behind. He's never done it. He finally did it. He finally did it. You know, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't perfect. He still missed some guys. He still threw that one pass that almost got picked off in the fourth quarter.
He was still looking down, worried about the rush a little bit.
He was. And then Bourne fumbles on the next play. But it wasn't perfect, Chris, but he played better. And I will say this. I'm going to say this. Just to temper everything, because you said, should we temper this? Yeah, we're going to temper it because Buffalo, for whatever reason, decided they were going to play cover 2 and cover 3. And I don't know I don't know what they were doing. Number one, don't know what they were doing. Right. And then, Chris, not only did they play cover 2 and cover 3, it was almost like they were dropping back. When they were in cover 2 and cover 3, Chris, it wasn't even that they were in cover 2 and cover 3. It was like they were even taking even more of a step back. I don't know. I don't quite understand and maybe it was because of the motion. I don't know. But being there, Chris, it was weird. They weren't blitzing. They weren't bringing extra pressure. They didn't come up with any sophisticated packages on defense. And I get they got some injuries, but it was just basic cover 2, cover 3. If Mac Jones couldn't read that, Chris, that's a problem.
Well, my opinion of that was as an offense, we talked about Bill O'Brien last week. Get up to date.
Yep.
Get current. And a lot of that, what I saw out there in Buffalo, looking at it from a defensive perspective, was that was bothering Buffalo. Okay. That movement, that motion, Pop Douglas in the backfield, those kinds of things were forcing them to get into a zone situation. When you they're not going to waste. They don't want to waste the corner. They don't want to waste the safety one-on-one with Stevenson or Elliott out wide. And so now they're shifting and adjusting into a zone. And so you dictate to the defense what they're going to be running. And that's what I saw. And I'd say kudos. That's probably O'Brien's best game as well. And you're right, Mark. This is the second game-winning drive of his career, Mac Jones. First win when an opponent scores 25 points or plus since Brady left.
Here we go.
First win over Buffalo since 2021. And, for you bettors out there, you gamblers, largest home underdog win,
So,
since
Chris,
01.
You mentioned defensively. What did you see on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, so here's the thing, okay? My thing with the defense was the defensive front. Let's start with them because I want to talk about who played well. Okay. And the defensive line played really well. Their pressure packages, and we talked last week about what's it going to take. I didn't think they could do it, judging from what, and you know what? Rightfully so, but judging from what we've seen all over the first 6 games. It was going to take a good pressure package, and they had it. With their front 4, you had a variety of things happening with them. A lot of twists, little stunts. And they were able to bring pressure from the edges and seal. When I say seal Allen in, you saw Allen get out sometimes, but he was never out where he could turn it upfield. There was always 3 guys trying to pocket him in, and he always had a guy lingering behind. Okay, that was keeping good leverage on him and good leverage across the field. And I thought the defensive front played fantastic. All of them. Bondmore had his best game. They all played well. And now, so that scheme that they used, A+ in this game, because there were only a couple of times that Allen could actually turn and get upfield. So that's the first thing I saw. The negative, I will tell you, is the tackling in the secondary was poor. I mean, piss poor. Duggar, all of them. Duggar, Jones, forget Miles. I don't even want to talk about Miles Bryant. But it just wasn't good. I mean, and even, Bentley too. I would say Bentley was having an great F day until he, caused that fumble, towards the end. But so I look at that and I thought the only defensive back I thought played well was Peppers. He still continues to bring the heat. He closes on players with the ball. And so I thought they were good. I didn't like the fact that they gave that up late in the game. It just seems, but again, you're playing Buffalo. So, but temper it, because Josh Allen was bad in this game. He wasn't just, he was bad, Mark. And so I thought that, hey, he missed Diggs a lot. Diggs was open a lot. I don't think J.C. Jackson had a very good game. The Patriots did disguise coverage a lot, and I think they confused him a little bit, and that pressure was bothering him, how they kept him in. But he didn't play well. I mean, and to me, that's how I see it.
2 things that stood out to me quickly. He misses Diggs on a touchdown. He beats Duggar over the deep in the center of the field. The first possession of the second half, wide open. That's a pass. That had nothing to do with pressure. That was he just missed them. And the second thing, Chris, you brought up Bentley causing the ball to come loose on the 4th down against the tight end Knox. Chris, Knox was open the entire middle of the field. He went from one hash directly across the middle of the field. It was right in front of me where I was sitting, all the way to the other hash. He throws the ball so late, and then Bentley gets to him and causes the ball to come loose. I don't know what Allen was looking at, though, Chris. He was cutting across the entire field the entire time. He could have threw that to him at any point, and he wouldn't have been hit, and it would have been a first down. Kudos to Bentley. He made the play, but that was on Allen.
Yeah, so temper it. Let's see. Let's see how they show up. We'll talk about the Miami game coming up. Let's see how they show up against Miami, because if they can play the same way, okay. If they don't and they get shelled, well, it's more about what Buffalo did wrong. And so this week, Mark, also, hey, the Bruins are in action. They've been playing undefeated throughout this week. And listen, Mark, this seems to be the trend with you can just rewind back to the season last year and they just continue the same kind of play. But is this a regular season? Is this a regular season type of team that just can't win in the postseason? I mean,
well, first of all, the goaltending again, Chris, is playing well, right? The combination of Allmark and Swayman playing well. But Chris, come playoff time, they don't seem to. The goalies struggled last year, right? When they got up against a physical team that had traffic up front, the goalies struggled. Yeah, they're playing well now, but like you said, Chris, are they just a regular season team, right? Some of the same, they got some new guys stepping up, right? Which is good. Some of the guys that, we weren't sure what they would do, they're doing okay.
The rookie.
Right? DeBrusque is Chris. He's, I don't know. He's just a, what you want to call him, but to sit him already because he missed a meeting in the first 2 weeks of the season.
He was one of the reasons why Cassidy was gone, that jerk. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Over there. So, the guy that won the Stanley Cup last year, you ran him out of town and he's still with his antics and his nonsense, So yeah, and Lindholm, he's another guy. Ship his ass out of town. I'm done with him. I'm done with Lindholm. He has it ups and down, up and down, up and down. And then the other team that started off this week, Boston Celtics. Okay. And Mark, I want to go back to that first game because I think we could take a lot out of the game against the Knicks as to what we think they're going to be this season, because they win the game. But once again, you see some of the things you saw last year as issues, turnovers, dribbling issues with Tatum, Brown. Listen, if you're going to look at this team, we'll talk about Porzingis in a second. If you're going to look at this team and say they're going to have success, they're going to compete for the championship and all of that, what are the issues going to be? Brown's going to be an issue. He's going to be an issue in several ways. On the court with his antics, you saw it that night. That's why I want to bring up game one. It's because, you could see how frustrated he was. He got some beef with one of the guys towards the end. I mean, that it wasn't necessary. Is he really going to be the two? Because if he turns into the three on this team, what's he going to be like?
Yeah, that's going to be an issue, Chris. I don't know how he'll mesh with Porzingis. Tatum seemed to be in sync with Porzingis, and the two of them kind of fed off each other. He doesn't have that necessarily with Brown, and we've been talking about this for a couple of years. So, yeah, if he becomes the three, Chris, I think you're going to have a problem chemistry-wise. You're
going to have to move him.
You may have to move him even though you signed him to a max deal, right? And the last thing, Chris, is you mentioned you saw some of the same things that you saw last year. And down the stretch in that game, Chris, they went to standing around, isolation, stopped passing. The things that they did last year when they got into tight games and they ended up losing, they started to do the same thing again. Porzingis hits a couple of shots and late to help them. But for the most part, Chris, you're right. You started to see them fall back into some of those same patterns. And, of course, the coach is the coach, which I know we're not going to get into him yet. It's early. We're not going to get into it yet.
We'll give him a break.
We're going to give him a break. But I know last year we had a lot of criticism of him. So let's see.
Porzingis had like 30 points. He had 4 blocks. I didn't think he'd be the rim protector a little bit. But you know what? When teams start to get hit, temper that too. Because when teams start to really play him, really guard him, really pay attention to him, let's see if he can get it.
And Chris, he played a lot of minutes too. He's not going to be able to give you that many minutes every night. You're going to have to manage his minutes. Maybe not as much as you did with Robert Williams, but you're going to have to manage his minutes. He has a history of injury. Let's see if he can last 82 games in a playoff run. So manage him. They're going to have to manage him. And if you manage him and he can stay healthy, hey, I think they're the best team in the East, Chris, but they're going to stay healthy.
They're going to be in the 60s, their win totals. I mean, but pay attention to Brown. Pay attention to Brown because he's still doing the things that he, and for the record, Mark and I were completely dead set against giving this guy that money. Yeah. I was against it. So let's pay attention to that. Mark, the World Series is coming up.
Yes.
Who would have thought? The Arizona Diamondbacks, Mark, playing the Rangers.
Diamondbacks.
I mean,
right, Chris. Let me ask you this: who's watching Arizona
Nobody.
against the Texas Rangers. Major League Baseball must want to
Nobody listen to
rip
this
their hair
show.
out. Right? I mean, but listen, I'm so glad the Astros aren't in it. They lost in a game 7, though. They got the heart of a champion. They fought. But the Astros, Chris, I'm glad they're not in it. I thought Philly would make it. But Atlanta, Texas, I'm going to pick Texas. I don't know who you're picking. I'm going with Texas.
Arizona, Texas. Why? Listen,
Arizona. I'm sorry. Yes, Arizona, Texas.
Look, I gotta pick Arizona because A, I'm here, and 2, when we said it, these teams, baseball, you get hot, get hot at the right time, and this team's hot. And I feel like they're just going to carry. If it was the Astros, I'd feel different. But because it's the Rangers, I think they're going to carry this through, and I think they're going to be the lowest payroll team to ever win a World Series. Is going to be this team. It's going to shake up the whole league.
And that's what John Henry wanted to do here.
Oh, man, he's thrilled to death of this, Right? So, hey, that's the week that was, and to end the segment on a bad note, but look, in Lewiston, Maine, our thoughts and prayers go up there, and this was part of the week that was, unfortunately. Our thoughts and prayers go up to everybody, that horrific event that took place up there with all the families and everything. You all know what it is. So, look, the local big teams, major league teams out here are doing some things for charity, to help the people up there. So look it up, figure it out, and do whatever you can to help. And at the very least, keep your thoughts and your prayers with all those people up there. So Weekly Rewind was presented by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. CorsoLawGroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. Hey, we come back. Buckle up. You never know what's coming. Catone's Comments is next.
No one ever thinks they'll be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Whether it's a traffic ticket or more serious issue, go to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys.
Time for Catone's Comments!
So I know we just got done talking about a baseball minute. However, there's a couple of things I do want to talk about with baseball. So in addition to that, so the Red Sox hire Greg Breslow. They finally hire I don't know what he's going to be, head of baseball, general manager, whatever you want to call this guy. Okay. So let me just set the stage here. So you got rid of Chaim Bloom, who really was probably one of the least experienced guys in that position in all of Major League Baseball. He did what the owner wanted him to do. He did his bidding for him, lowered payroll, built farm system. Did we all agree with what he did? I know me personally, no, I didn't. But they weren't happy with what Dombrowski was doing. They said he ate away the farm system, but Dombrowski won you a World Series. So they hired this new guy. Nobody wanted the job, by the way. Anyways, they hired this new guy. He might have less experience than Chaim Bloom, for crying out loud. This is a guy who wasn't the GM and he wasn't in charge in Chicago. He was the assistant. He was an assistant. So he wasn't negotiating contracts. He wasn't figuring out payroll. He wasn't doing any of that. He wasn't overseeing a scouting department. He did none of that. In fact, the reason he up with the Cubs was because the Cubs allowed him to stay home locally part of the time. He wasn't even in Chicago dealing with people. He was doing it via Zoom, and it wasn't because of COVID. That was part of his deal. So you got rid of Chaim Bloom. Bring in somebody with experience. Bring in somebody who knows baseball, who understands what it takes to run a team of this stature in this market with this, we hope, payroll. And maybe I'm hoping that they allow him to spend some money. But what does Henry do? He does the complete opposite of what they should do. He brings in a guy probably, like I said, with less experience than Bloom. And why is that? To keep the seat warm for Cora? I'm so sick of this guy, Cora. Listen, he hit Powerball in 18. They won a championship with a lineup that was one of the worst lineups in the history of baseball to win a World Series. He sat there with his iPad. He was getting signals from the iWatch in center field to the iPad. They're looking at videos in the tunnel. They cheated. Listen, I'm a local guy. I'm going to say it how it is. Listen, for those of you on 790 listening who don't know what Catone's Comments is about, this is the real deal New England feel, and I say how it is. They cheated in 18, and those of you who don't want to hear it, that's what they did. So what has Cora done other than that year? What has he done? They finished in last place a couple of times. Aren't players supposed to get better? In my opinion, you're supposed to get better as the year goes on. His teams have been finishing in last place. It's all about analytics. So this guy is, in my opinion, this guy's keeping the seat warm. He's young, inexperienced. Is never going to last. He'll be another guy 3 years. He'll be out. And then Cora will be ready to take the reins. And now he'll run the organization. And I honestly think that that's the deal that Henry probably was making or made. And that's why nobody came here. Who wants that job? To put up a Cora in his ego and it's going to be allowed by John Henry, by the owner? Are you kidding me? Really? So you know what? I'm fed up with Cora. I'm sick of listening to Cora. Oh, he's this, he's that. Listen, he should have went with Bloom. Bring in an experienced person to run the organization. And if you got rid of Cora, you would have gotten one of those guys. And then they could have hired their manager. And now you could have built this team and went on to the next chapter of the Red Sox dynasty or legacy, whatever you want to call it. But they're one of those teams, just like the Yankees are one of those teams. The Yankees are even more of a disgrace, keeping Cashman and Boone. But that's a Catone's comment for another day, because that'll take me an hour to unravel what's going on in New York. However, Red Sox fans, you should be upset and disgusted with what they hired. You should be disgusted. You had the same candidates internally. You could have hired, if you're going to keep the seat warm for Cora, you could have hired Romero. You could have hired one of those guys. You didn't need to go hire this guy. Are you kidding me? It's ridiculous. And listen, I promise there'll be no more baseball for the rest of the season. Well, maybe not. We'll have to talk about who wins the World Series. But I'm done with the Red Sox. You won't hear about the Red Sox until the spring training. I'm done. But I had to get that off my chest. It's an absolute disgrace what the Red Sox did in hiring this guy. You might as well put me in the position, for crying out loud. And everybody knows, hey, I'm an old school baseball guy. I would have did a better job than this guy. And Chris, you know I would have did a better job than this guy.
Well, Joe.
He'll be teaching how to do a double play and how to do a parallel parking.
What a commercial for himself, huh?
Holy cannoli.
Oh, my on. I mean, geez, Mark. Let me tell you. Do better. Listen, all I can say, he is right. I mean, look, the fact that it's so telling that the Boston Red Sox, they're the Boston Red Sox, of the Red Sox. The Yankees are the Yankees, no matter how you look at it. These are polarizing teams. And for the list of people that were put out there as potential to just say decline, even internally with your friend that that declined to even take the interview.
Yeah, so I'm glad I didn't bring her up just because she is a friend of mine, but Raquel Ferreira is one of the women in baseball, and she's like one of the assistant GMs in
sharp. I mean, sharp.
No, she's good. She's good people. She's a good baseball person. And she decided this wasn't the right time for, personal reasons, family reasons. Yeah. But that's one of the people internally. You'd have been better off hiring her. At least she's got the respect of the players and of the people that are in the organization. But she wasn't interested. She wasn't ready for that. However, you went and hired this guy? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. They trust Cora too much.
Yes.
Like you say. I mean, and we were, at one point during the summer, we were talking about, hey, Cora's going to check out. He's going to quit. He's not the reason. He's not the issue. But, when you look at the season and you look back at everything, manager of this team, you're the man. We're going to come down on Boone same way. Get these guys to play. You at some point. So if you have that much trust in him, what? So now he's going to, because all season long, he acted as if he was pissed off at management that they wouldn't bring guys in at the trade deadline, all that. Now all of a sudden, what? He's the next in line. So he's really the guy that's going to be deciding things. And whoever they just brought in is basically his lackey. at this point.
That's exactly what it is. Exactly. That's exactly what this guy was brought in for, Chris. And he was the only guy that was going to sit there and be the lackey, and that's why he's here. Yeah.
The bottom line is nobody trusts John Henry. That's it.
Nope.
Nobody that has any worth and then any value in their career trusts this guy. First, he goes through GMs like tissue paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He gets rid. Dombrowski won for them, but he spent too much money, so he's gone. So the schizophrenic behavior of the ownership in this situation is the problem. They're all jerks, Mark. That's it. They all have too much money. That's it. They all have too much money. Well, Mark, you're right, and so we'll stick around. I know this is it. We're not bringing it up anymore until pitches and catches report. So,
That's it.
Good stuff, Mark. Hey, listen, when we come back, we're going to be welcoming Joe, one of you in the nation. We're going to hear from somebody in Heated Hotline. We're going to do it right after this.
Mark, I'm serious. I think I lost my mind.
Certainly, it was an exciting show.
I want Murray.
What?
That's
crackers?
it.
What is wrong with
Get him on this damn show.
you? Lost your mind tonight.
That's all I have to say.
Lost your mind.
What are you writing now?
So I'm working over here. You're talking about nonsense. I'm working.
That's why we are the real deal New England Field. It's going to be real.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal New England Field. Hey, remember, noon to 1 every Saturday, and you can hear us on 790. I got to keep reminding people of that, Mark. This is get the Providence people in. Want to hear from you in the Heated Hotline. Hey, let us know what you think about Red Sox. Anything's on the table, so make sure you're giving us a call in Heated Hotline. And speaking of which, we're going to hear from one of you in the nation, and we're going to do it right now, Joe.
Hi, guys. It's Jen from Cranston. So what's the story with the Kraft? They're giving Belichick an extension. Are you kidding me? And for more money, too? So I guess I should just screw up at work, completely mismanage all my people, and then I get a raise. Perfect. I guess that's the Patriots way. So what's the story? I know you guys will give me the real answer. You always do. Love the show.
Hey, listen, leave it to Jen. Thanks for the call. Leave it to Jen to call in. She calls a lot.
She does.
She hits the nail on the head usually, too, with this kind of thing.
She does. She's good.
That's it. Screw up at work,
And move up.
situations. And
Hey, you're good.
Rest on your past when you always talk about it's now the next season. We're moving on to Cincinnati. We don't look back. We don't. Last year's last year, right? And let's give him a raise.
That's
I'm
a
glad.
recipe for
I'm glad
success.
this was Joe. And for those of you who don't know, Mark and I have not heard the call. We don't ever hear your calls until Joe likes to surprise us. He likes to throw this at us and then see how we react.
Every
Well,
now and then,
Mark-
that's how I learn what actually is happening because I'm so involved with the production of it. I don't hear the news of Belichick getting more money until like a caller calls in. I'm like, what? Oh, they'll go for this.
So, Mark, I mean, talking about it here, I mean, we were going to discuss this later, but so let's bring it now. I mean, what's the story with this? What do you make of this? Who leaked it?
Yeah. So and it's funny, Chris. All last week,
Nobody talks about his contract, Mark. No one.
nobody.
There's
But
like
all
4
last
people that know.
Yeah. All last week, Chris, all that was out in the media was, how do you get rid of him? How do you fire him? Do you fire him? And then all of a sudden on Sunday morning before the game, it comes out, we got a multi-year extension. And then you have everybody else chiming in now, all these different guys. Well, it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. Chris, listen, the mere fact, and here's how I look at it, Chris, and is, okay, never mind whether it's a year, 2-year, 3-year extension, whatever it is. We'll debate that in a minute. Kraft is giving this man almost like his and it supposedly in the contract there's a way for this to end, and so Kraft is giving him a soft landing, a parachute, a sweet ending to his career so he can walk off into the sunset. But Jesus Christ, did you do that for number 12?
No.
Did you do it for the greatest? Did you do it for the
There it is.
greatest that's ever stepped on a football field? Did you do that for him? No, you listened to the coach and you pushed him out the door. And now all of a sudden you want to act like, oh, we kissed and made up. You're retiring jerseys. Not jerseys. You're putting him in a Hall of Fame. Eventually they'll retire the jersey. They're doing all this stuff. You let the man walk out the door because you listened to your GM coach. But now for your coach, when you probably should be pushing him out the door, Chris, you're going to give him a parachute into retirement so he can do it the right way. You know what, Mr. Kraft? Wake up, smell the coffee.
Yeah. You know what? And Mark and I have not been quiet about the Krafts because, they skate on everything. They skate on everything. And we know we have our opinions as to why that is. Hey, look, we're just like you out there. We don't owe anyone anything. That's it. Okay, you screw up in New England, you mess up our sports teams, we're gonna throw you out and we're gonna throw you under the bus, and that's the way it's gonna be. And the Krafts have mismanaged this situation from 2017 to now. When we talked about what should have happened with Brady and all of that, and give him the money, you got rid of Garoppolo, now pay the man. So now, yeah, you're right. Lucrative deal. I mean, look, 4 people know about this. 4 know about Belichick's contract. And it's Jonathan, Bob Kraft, Belichick, and Belichick's attorney, agent, whoever he is. That's it. This came from Belichick because of the way it was reported. A lucrative deal, tenure, talking about discussion of tenure at the end and duties and all this stuff. So that way he can let everybody know that, hey, I'm not going anywhere. So let's cut the talk about firing me. I mean, that's it, because it isn't going to happen. Now, I have the utmost respect for Belichick as a coach. I think he's the best that ever did it. I don't think that'll ever be taken away from him. I think Dimitroff, the former GM here, came out and said the other day that he'll get 3 to 4 offers if the Patriots let him go. And I think Bob Kraft is so beat up by what happened with Brady, and he's so afraid that I cannot allow for my brand to let the other guy walk out the door. I already let the best that ever did it, best football player that ever lived, walk out this door. Now I'm going to let the best that ever did it in the coaching walk out the door without that record attached to the Patriots. So, yeah, I don't think I told you when we talked about this a few weeks ago, where is Belichick going to get fired, right? What did I say to you? He'll be back next year.
He'll be back. Yeah.
And we've said it all along. Kraft is never going to fire this guy. He wants the record. He doesn't want he doesn't want another blemish because he looks stupid after what happened with Brady. Meanwhile, Belichick makes $25 million a year, Mark. He makes more than any one guy on this team. Okay? So if you extended him, I don't know the money. I don't know why. I would be surprised if Belichick took less money.
No.
So if you extended him and you fire him, have we seen the Krafts want to eat money?
He's real
money?
No. So, Chris, a guy that I respect, who obviously has an in, because I mean he's one of the broadcasters for the games. Zolak reported that he believes it's 2 years, 2 more years. He'll be here 2 more years, and then they'll part ways. He'll walk off into the sunset, hopefully with the record, like you said, Chris. And then at that age, he's not going to coach at that age anywhere else, Chris. At the end of the 2 years, then he can walk off into the sunset. And that's what, that's what Zolak thinks. He thinks it's 2 years, and he'll be here for 2 more years. And then it'll be an amicable, hey, I'm retiring. I'm done. I broke the record. I did everything I could do. And like you said, Chris, it allows Kraft to say that that's part of his legacy with his team. And you bring up the $25 million, Chris, or whatever it is. Maybe it's more than that. Who knows, right? You're right. They're not going to pay that out. $25 million dead money to anybody. No, because don't forget.
No, you're talking about now $50 million.
Yeah. Don't forget,
2 years.
Chris, don't forget 2 things. Number one, he has been the owner who has spent the least amount of money over the last 20 years on his team and on players. He does not spend money. They're the lowest spending team, and they can spin it any way they want, Chris. They're the lowest real money spending team in the NFL over the last 15 years. That's Kraft. That's his way. That's the Patriot way. Let's be honest. That's the Patriot way. Okay. And they got away with it because they had the greatest quarterback who ever did it and the greatest player who ever did it. And you had a great coach, right? So you got away with it. Well, guess what? You don't have the player anymore. And I think the coach has failed a little bit to keep up.
Well, he's failed as a
times.
GM for sure.
Well, I'm not even going to get into the GM part of it yet. That's whole nother conversation. But even as a coach, Chris, he's failed a bit because I think he hasn't been able to keep up with the times, right? Of what this league has become. So, come on. What other coach are you going to hire, Chris, that's going to allow you to pay dirt for players? Nothing.
Mark.
So listen, you're right, Chris. You were right when you said he'll be back next year. And I believe Zolak, he'll be here probably 2 more years, Chris, until he breaks the record.
Mark, he's going to be here as many years as it takes. And you know what pisses me off too is the fact that Kraft's not laid out on the carpet. Okay, look, it makes no sense, and no one's been able to make. I know we're over, but no one's been able to make sense for me. This Belichick wants that record. You know he wants that record. Okay, why on earth wouldn't he spend somebody else's money to put guys on this team that, unless he's completely lost it and has no idea how to evaluate any talent anywhere on this field? And maybe at receiver, that's true. But why on earth would he not want to spend money on guys in free agency? Forget the draft for a minute.
Because, Chris, I'm going to tell
you. And get that record sooner.
Because, Chris,
it's Kraft. He won't spend it. He won't. I don't care what Kraft says when he comes out and says, he's never been a time where he's asked me for money and I didn't do it. You know what? Nonsense. I don't believe it. I don't.
Chris, listen, though. He does spend money on defense, cornerbacks, sometimes a defensive end. He views, Chris.
Yeah, but that's not real money. That's not big money.
It's not. But listen, Chris. He views defense and special teams as the core of the team, and offense as a supplemental piece that'll help you. If it's decent enough, you'll win a championship. Defense, special teams, offense is supplemental. And that's not what this game is anymore, but that's his philosophy because that's what it was, Chris.
But Mark, that's 2 different issues. The bottom line is,
when you talk about money.
Yeah, but if Belichick went to him for a high-priced wide receiver and said, this is real money, you're going to pay a tackle, real guaranteed money, that's where the door gets closed on Belichick. Yeah, you can do these deals, these incentive deals for all these defensive guys, fine. We'll give you the leash for that. But when the time comes to spend real money, Mark, on guys that make a difference, the door gets closed on them, in my opinion.
All right,
period.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, so it seems that way, Chris. We're never going to know the real answer to this because it's never going to come out. But yeah.
No. So, Jen, we appreciate the call. You know, good insight. We think you're right. So, and make sure you all call in and let us know if we're wrong and Jen's wrong, but I don't think we are. So, Heated Hotline was presented by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm, CorsoLawGroup.com. Hey, when we come back, we're going to welcome in the nation. We're going to talk about the game coming up. Pat's Nation is next.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. Whether it's a traffic ticket or more serious issue, talk with these expert attorneys. CorsoLawGroup.com.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. Hey, got a game coming up down in Miami. Pat's Nation, Joe. Let's have it. $1 p.m. Eastern, the Patriots travel down to Miami for round 2 with the Miami Dolphins, and they played them close last game. They had, Miami came out with a whole different look, a whole different, way of doing things. And I think Belichick got really outcoached. I think the whole coaching staff got outcoached by the nerd that plays with the Legos down in Miami. So breaking this game down, and we'll go keys to victory now that they've shown us that they have life, this team. The Pats are still breathing, Joe. It's a great title to the show because they're still breathing a little bit. So, Mark, talk about the offense. What's it going to take?
So offensively, Chris, a couple of things. You need to continue to do what you did last week with the motion and the movement and getting guys in motion and scheming and you need to continue to do that, Chris. But Miami has a better pass rush than Buffalo has. And rumor is they haven't made a decision. It'll be a game time decision tomorrow. Ramsey may play. So if Ramsey plays, Chris, they're not playing cover 2, cover 3. They're playing man-to-man. Okay? They're going to play you straight up, cover 1, man-to-man. That's what they're going to be in, and they're going to rush you. So you're going to have the offensive line, Chris, if they can do what they did last week, they're going to have to run the football. And I think you can run the football on Miami. So I think you need to get Elliott, Stevenson, some misdirection, do some things with them. Then you'll be able to do some play action. I think the center of the field will then be open for the tight ends. And Pop Douglas, Chris, you're going to almost, what do they have, 5, 6, 7 touches? You need to get him like 12, 13 touches this week. You need to increase that, okay? But if you keep some of the principles you put in place against Buffalo, I think you have a chance offensively to score some points. I do. But I think, Chris, you can run the football against Miami. So I think doing the same thing they did offensively in regards to motion, schemes, lining up guys in different places, getting Miami maybe a little bit confused, that'll work against them as well. But if Ramsey plays, Chris, they're going to play you man up. And that's why I'm telling you, you can run the ball on this team. The center of the field for Miami is weak. I think you can run it, misdirection, different types of things. I believe Stevenson and Elliott should have a big day against Miami. And that's going to be your way, Chris. I believe I'm not going to say they're going to win, but at least you're going to listen. You're not beating Miami in Miami, Chris, unless you score in the 20s. You scored what? 29 points last week?
Yeah.
You're going to have to score at least 29, maybe low 30s if you plan on beating Miami in Miami, because they just score down there. The weather's going to be perfect. They score, and they score in bunches down there.
Mark, you said it last week. You said, look, if Mac Jones throws over 30 times, they can't win this game against Buffalo. They're going to have to run the ball at least 30 times. Well, they ran the ball 24 times, which is not far off, and Mac Jones threw exactly 30 times. Look,
close.
The Patriots can win this game. And offensively, like you say, slow it down, get Ezekiel Elliott on the field more, get yourself into the red zone, offensive line, keep that same 5 guys, Owunu at right tackle. Thank God you finally see it, Clem. And I agree with you. Let Miami come out with the same scheme where you took Hill away, okay? And so for defensively, Mark, okay, how to handle this and how to do this is to allow your offense. If the offense is going to play the way they did last week, let's just assume for a second they are. Then I'm okay with the scheme, okay, that the Patriots came out with against them the last time, which was a lot of what they used to do against Kansas City when they had Hill, okay? You disguise the looks against Tua, and Tua's not Mahomes. You disguise the looks. You bring safeties down. You give cover 2 looks, and then you bring the safety down, and you bracket Hill. You take him away. Waddle was hurt, I think, a little bit in that previous game against the Patriots. So you're going to have to deal with that. And hopefully Jack Jones has another week under his belt, and because somebody is going to have to play at times man coverage if you're going to mix it up. Love the pressure package that you had last week. You got a guy that's less mobile now, so now they can take a little more chance. So if McDaniels goes to his motion out to the sideline, that bench motion, and read the safety, read the linebacker, and go off that, the key to this, Mark, is get the right personnel on the field. Get speed on the field. Get your safeties, get box safeties like Mapu. Get them on the field instead of Tavai. Don't let Tavai and Bentley get stuck covering out there against that bench motion, that outside motion. So if you're going to work hard enough to take Hill away, right, then get the personnel on the field that you can handle sideline to sideline in that flat area where they try to go that motion and then read that defender. So again, Mark.
So I also think that you're not going to have Christian Gonzalez, right? So you mentioned Jack Jones. I think that's going to be a key, Chris, because there were times when Christian Gonzalez was one-on-one with Hill or Waddle in that game in New England, and he played well. He held his own. He's not there. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to look for. And the second thing, Chris, is Hill's been hurt all week, limited. He's been practicing. The second half of the week, he did practice. However, he's injured, but he said, I'll be out there, but he's not 100%. So that's also going to help you because Hill is going to be less than what he typically would be. So he may not have as much explosiveness, Chris. He does have the hip injury, so we'll see. But so what you're saying probably will work because he's not going to be as explosive.
I'm over here, Mark, having coughing spells, and I'm
you got issues. You got all kind of issues.
I'm battling, and the Patriots defense is going to have to battle too. So yeah, Mark, listen, offensively, they're going to have to do exactly what you say to help our defense, and that's exactly what it's going to take this week. So, Mark, who wins the game?
Well, I'll say this, Chris. I was at the Buffalo game. I'm not as listen, they played better. It was definitely mocked improvement. However, Buffalo, Chris, everybody's blowing up Buffalo. I'm going to give you props. You said before the season, Buffalo's taking a step back. They're not as good as they've been. And you're 100% right, Chris, because they should have lost to the Giants the week before. And guess what? You beat Sunday. A 500 football team is all you beat. You didn't beat an elite team Sunday. So just please, it was progress. But then Buffalo's not an elite team. You're thinking about the Buffalo from a couple of years back. That's not this Buffalo team, Chris. I still think New England plays better. 31-24, Miami.
Yeah, to me, I think the Patriots will score in the 20s. I think it'll be about 24. And I agree. I think it's going to be about 27-30 to 24. And Miami still wins the game because that's still a house of horrors for us. We can't win down there in that place. We haven't been able to for years. When Gronk, remember, they had that kickoff return at the end of the game and so on. So I think that's what's going to happen. So stay tuned. We give you the keys to victory. Let us know if we were right or if we were wrong. So 1:00 Eastern at Miami. Hey, listen, when we come back, we're going to talk Sunday spread. Step up to the sports book right after this.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. Whether it's a traffic ticket or more serious issue, talk with these expert attorneys. CorsoLawGroup.com.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. All right, Mark, it's time to give our locks of the week. Make these people some money. Last week we did pretty good.
We did.
Look, you and I had the Kansas City last week.
We both had Kansas City, and you laughed at my New York Giants. They finally did it. Giants.
Well, I mean, one of these weeks you have to be right. You bet them every damn week, you know? I mean, who's Mr. Giants fan? And listen, I know a lot of you listen on 790. We're all Giants fans from way back. So, you know, there's your love. From Mark. Mark, what do you got this week?
This week, Chris, believe it or not, coming out of the bye week, I like Dallas at home. I think they're going to kill the Rams. I think the Rams stink. I think the Rams are going to get buried on the road this week at Dallas. I think Dallas wins by double digits. They're only given 6.5, 7. I like Dallas at home. And believe it or not, and I know I'm going to get a little flack for this one, I like Seattle against Cleveland. Because I'm just still not sold on Cleveland. I don't know that they haven't decided yet if Deshaun Watson's playing or not, but it doesn't matter. That'll be a game time decision. But I like Seattle at home to cover.
If Deshaun Watson doesn't play, then I like Cleveland.
If he doesn't play.
If he doesn't play.
Okay.
If he plays, I think he's done. And I wanted him.
Oh, you wanted him.
I wanted him in New England, but I don't know. I'll tell you what, though. What's his Garrett, man? He's a beast.
Oh, he's a beast.
Cleveland.
He is.
So my prediction. Okay. So I've been rolling. I tell you what, Houston, nobody pays attention to Houston. Okay. Carolina they are the worst team in football. and I realized they're playing at Carolina, and the half point was starting to bother me. So Houston's favored by 3.5. Kind of wish it was 3 instead of the half. But even with that, I'm taking Houston. I just think that they're clicking. Offensively, they're clicking. Okay. Stroud, I mean, playing well. The receiver's playing well down there, the back. They're protecting him well. He knows when to move out of the pocket. He keeps his eyes downfield. I think they're going to score points against Carolina. And I don't know that it's even going to be close, Mark.
Oh, wow. That's a big prediction.
I would take the 3. I don't care about the 3.5. Take Houston, giving up the points on the road. And listen, there's 2 other games I like. I like the Jets. I know don't get upset with me out there, but Jets are playing Mark's Giants, and Jets are giving up 2.5. They're both home, right? It's a home game for both of them, really, even though it's a Giants home game. And so I like the Jets in this one because I think the Jets are a good football team. I really do. Coming off beating Philadelphia when they were getting 6.5. So 2.5 to me, I'm surprised it's not 3.5. So that win over the Commanders is what makes this 2.5 last week. And this is a mistake. Take the Jets. What do you think about Kansas City, Mark? Giving up 7. I think they're going to roll Denver. I don't care where it is.
Yeah, but you know what, though, Chris? Denver, for some reason, always plays them tough. And I don't know why that is. But no, I could see Kansas City rolling them. I could.
Well, Denver screwed me last week.
They did. They did. Yeah.
But you can use some of these teams in parlays. You can use them in teas. And remember what I told you. Bet in game. Watch some of these games. Watch them through. Get the feel of when the scores are coming. And, take those lines as they move. And take those anytime props. And by the way, Ezekiel Elliott, anytime, take him as a prop. Anytime score. It's been solid every week. And by the way, the San Francisco team, if McCaffrey's playing, he's a good anytime score. It's going to be negative. It's going to be minus. But it's a little way to make money, Mark. You like the
Chris, it looks like Whatchamacallit's going to play this week, the backup, because Purdy is out. I think the guy that used to be the quarterback for the Jets is going to play.
Well, then they're going to be
what's his name? Donald. Donald, I think is going to play.
Then that means McCaffrey's going to touch the ball a lot. So
yeah. Yep.
Take the early line if the quarterback situation is not determined for the prop bet on McCaffrey anytime score. And so those are our locks. I like them, Mark. Look, last week we made some money. You people need to listen to us. Give us your feedback in Heated Hotline. We want to know from you, 855-313-PATS. Let us know how you're doing with these picks. And hey, you know what? Help us
Chris,
out.
Am I allowed to give college tick, or is that not allowed?
Yeah, go ahead. If it's after 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna give it to you right now.
Quickly.
I'm giving it to you quickly. They're getting 16.5 points. Colorado plus 16.5. He's blown a couple of close games. The last game, 29-point lead was an embarrassment. Dion will not get embarrassed this week. They may not win, but they're not losing by 17 points against UCLA. Take the Buffs. Take the Buffs.
I know the head referee that's doing that game this weekend too.
Do you?
So,
Take the Buffs.
So you know what? I'm with Mark. Take Colorado. So good stuff. Corso and Catone was presented by Corso Law Group, corsolawgroup.com. Hey, get on, watch. All our shows are up for you to listen, watch, subscribe, get our notifications, and hey, make sure you come back next week, noon Eastern. We'll recap that Miami game. Welcome in the Pats Nation for our preview of the Washington Commanders game. Catone's comments, Sunday spread, Celtics, Bruins, your calls and emails. Anything you bring to the table, we will be ready. We are Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. So long, everyone.
Find Corso and Catone on iHeartRadio, iTunes, or wherever you podcast. And subscribe to the YouTube channel, Corso and Catone, and catch the chaos at 7 p.m. on Saturday.